Clay Carson thought he'd gotten over being jumpy. As the buckboard rattled along the dusty Texas road, he kept glancing over his shoulder. Worse, he slid his foot over to rest against the stock of his rifle. A deft kick could lift it for a quick grab. He knew from experience he could lever in a round, aim, and fire in the blink of an eye. Too many varmints had doubted that, and now lay dead, scattered across Texas and Indian Territory. A few of the varmints had been men who were inclined to put an ounce or two of lead into his hide. So far, he had always beaten them to the draw. But those were the old days, at least a year in the past. Carson had no reason now to suspect every stranger he saw or worry about a lone rider on the road behind him. He had no reason, but old habits died hard, especially when they had kept him alive. He wished he had his trusty 6-gun slung at his hip, but the rifle would do, provided he kept trouble at a distance. What's got into me today? The mule pulling the buckboard ignored him. It kept its flop-eared head down, straining to pull its load. While out plowing and tending the fields, the mule, named Solomon for its stubborn wisdom, had been his only company on the lonely farm for most of the past year. Carson had come to trust the animal more than he did most men. Solomon didn't ask questions, didn't pry into the past, and never judged. Maybe it's been too quiet. Maybe I can't help but think it's time for the other boot to drop. Even his own reassuring words did nothing to prevent him from looking behind him again. Nothing. He rode along the empty road, the vast flat prairie land stretching as far as the eye could see, miles of open space without a living soul in sight. The mesquite and live oak stood like lonely sentinels scattered here and there, while wind devils spun dust into the air and vanished just as quick. Overhead, the sun hung low and hot, turning sweat stains into permanent tattoos on his shirt. He snapped the reins, urging Solomon to move along a little faster. The sooner he got to town, loaded supplies for the farm, and returned to his cozy niche that had been his home for nigh on a year, the easier he'd breathe. The town appeared first as a shimmery mirage, then hardened into real buildings with a few people moving around between them. Several old men, propped up in chairs under shady awnings, waved to him as he drove past. He returned their greeting. He might be the only thing out of the ordinary for them all day. Ferguson wasn't the crossroads of anywhere. Since the railroad had bypassed the town a couple of years back, it had hung on by the skin of its teeth. Many businesses had pulled up stakes, moving closer to the steel rails to chase prosperity, while others simply shuttered their doors for good. That was one reason he'd decided to stay here.